Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of our Faces of Mass Golf series. We're continuing with our theme of talking to past winners of the Mass Four Ball, and today we're joined by Dean Godek, who won the Four Ball in 1989 and 1999 with his playing partner, Alistair Catto, who unfortunately just died a couple weeks ago after battling ALS. Dean, we appreciate you joining us on behalf of Mass Golf. Of course, we extend our condolences to you, Alistair's family, and all those who knew him really well.
Yep, thanks.
I want to go back in time a little bit, though. You were a state champion at Chicopee Comp growing up out in Western Mass. You were Division III, third-team All-American at Westfield State. Where did your amateur golf career sort of go from there?
After college, I joined the Orchards, and that's where I met Alistair. And then I started to playing more state events, and then I started to play in some national events. I played in 3 U.S. amateurs, 3 U.S. pub links, and a U.S. mid. And so I kind of peaked after college, not really during college. Had a decent college career, but actually I had a better, next 10 years was actually a better, playing years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously, so you're both members at the Orchard, you and Alistair, then?
Yeah, I joined when I lived, in Chicopee at the time, and I was in Orchards in South Hadley, so I was about 10 miles. And as a college student, I was looking for a place to play out of, and that was my first club that I really belonged to. And when I got there, I was, a confident 19-year-old, kid, and I played against him in a club tournament. And I'm thinking, he walked up to the tee, a little bit older, disheveled, kind of his bag was like a Sunday bag, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be an easy match, and I got my clock cleaned, So we battled each other for a while for the first year, and then we finally said, you know what, instead of battling each other, why don't we play in the state four ball together? And that was kind of like our really big first thing that we actually, played in together at Hyannisport.
So the 1989, which was the first win, that was the first time you played in the state four ball together?
Yeah, that was the first time we actually played in a state four ball. We just had a lot of confidence because we were playing against each other so much, and we're both medal play players that we kind of just, that was our first hurrah, and it was actually a good one. It was a good first start.
Yeah, and from what I read, you guys actually played with similar clubs, similar playing style. Was it just a natural fit to come together and play in an event like that?
Yeah, we both hit a power fade. We both, the funny part is at Hyannis, we're both playing Pinnacle Gold golf balls, which is, unheard of on a course like that. Yeah, we do. Our style, our clubs, we both played Ping Eye 2s. Our clubs are very similar. Our games were similar. And Alistair being a little bit more of a veteran kind of, helped me out a little bit, growing up. With his experience, and that kind of, we just gelled. And it's very difficult to find a playing partner. And, as I started having children, I got out of the scene a little bit, so we didn't play as much together. But when you do play with someone else, it's different when you have, a comfort level with someone like him, who's, was a quality player.
Absolutely. What do you just remember about his demeanor and just how he approached the game of being out on the course?
Alistair was just a true gentleman, and he never got excited. His philosophy was, you hit the best shot you can, and then whatever happens, happens. We do the best on every hole, and we move forward. Our theory was, like 2 balls down the middle, 2 balls on the green, let's take our putts at it, and then we just go to the next one. Never really showed emotion, never, but he was a grinder, he was a competitor, and under pressure, probably one of the best putters I've ever seen under pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about an important putt in your second four-ball win. But first, I want to talk about 1989. Took place, as you said, Hyannisport. From what I was reading, you guys battled some awful conditions that day, to say the least. About 40-mile-an-hour winds, sheets of rain, and you still shot under par to win it. But what do you remember about that final round and just, being able to overcome that?
We didn't know better, so we just kind of went out there. And we had, I don't know what we were after the first day, if we were like behind the lead or with the lead, but the conditions were really tough. It was really windy, and what I remember is the par 3 was like 190 yards, and Alistair, I remember him hitting a driver to a foot. And it was just, that's how windy it was. And then we're coming towards the end, it was raining, and it was so windy that we tried putting umbrellas up, and he just basically said, look, we're just going to have to just play the last 3-4 holes without umbrellas, and just it will get drenched, but we're going to have to do that because there's no way we can keep these umbrellas up. And so we didn't know how everybody else was doing. We just kind of were grinding it. We knew it was going to be tough, and now I think we might have made 1 bogey. It might have been the last hole even. So, we had no idea coming in, and the Phasics were already in, and I guess people are congratulating them, thinking that, people on the course, what they shot, and people on the course, was nobody's going to be under par or anything close. And we happened to shoot a couple under. And they, the gentleman that they were, and it's how golf is really ironic, is that after the round, we went into the locker room to kind of change and stuff, and they were there to greet us. Never met them before, and congratulate us on the win. And from there, it grew into a really great friendship. They become very, very good friends of mine. So it's just on how golf in itself, how it just kind of works its way out.
Mm-hmm. Was it a kind of a look of, I was actually talking to the Phasics earlier in the week, and they mentioned that story. Were they shocked that, somebody else had been able to shoot that well and you were able to actually edge them out in a tournament like that? Or just
they were
there?
Yeah, they were sitting in the clubhouse, or they were in the locker room figuring that, they're going to win. Nobody out there is going to be doing anything. And they didn't know us. They didn't know anything about us. We didn't know anything about them. So they want to see, then all of a sudden someone said, oh, someone shot under par. They're like, we want to see who shot under par. And they thought they had it won also based on the conditions. But like I said, the two gentlemen that they are, they were there to congratulate. And then, we got to know them, and then turned into a really strong friendship from there.
Yeah. What was your reaction that when you found out you won it, you and Alistair?
We were excited because it was the first tournament we've ever played in together. So we were really, really excited. And, we didn't know how hard it was to win the state four ball. So it's kind of glad we did on the first try. But then afterwards, our local newspaper, got in touch with us, wanted to take a picture, do a big article. And, nobody else had won it in the Western Mass area, four ball. So.
But you mentioned Alistair being kind of stoic, not too high and not too low, but I can imagine that was a pretty big high after the round is over.
He was. I mean, again, he doesn't get too excited, but he was like, we were excited, and it's just, we're just drenched. So we were just trying to get dry and come in, and then, we weren't really, too much thinking about it too much. But afterwards we were really, the ride home was really, it was a fun ride home.
What do you remember about that? Just, it was a long ride back from, Cape Cod
and then
to Western Mass.
And then right away we had to go into like a studio or something to get a picture taken for the newspaper. So on our way back, and it was just, we kind of commented on how we really gelled together and how it was easy playing with each other, and our games being similar, and our personalities being similar. And that's where the friendship, really started for the two of us. And then we entered, a lot of other tournaments together.
There are a lot of, there still are a lot of regional four balls. You have the Brown Jug. Seagulls also played at Hyannisport, Stockbridge, you name it. Did your games develop, I guess, a little bit more over time as you got to play in those more events together, or was it just kind of always pretty steady?
No, it was, it evolved, because as you started, one of the things is we played against each other so much. And the big thing was, people would say, like, I go to the orchards and you're playing against, your partner, which is hard to do, like club championships, or we'd have matches, and we'd have these matches and we'd play for $1. And it wasn't so much the dollar, it's just having who had to turn over that dollar to the other person. And Alistair, being, like an English major, he kept a notebook. So he knew exactly how many times he beat you and how many times you had to pay him $1. So that was the funny part of it. Was
he collecting more than he was doling out, or how did that?
I'd say over the years, it probably came out even. When we did play a match, our final match ever was in November. And, we played the white tees, and he got a stroke a hole every hole because of his condition. And I end up beating him on the last hole to have the match. So for all those years that we played together, the last ever match we ever played together was halved. So that was kind of nice. It ended that way.
What did you think of all the competition you had statewide back then? Still today is great competition. Don't get me wrong, but when you look at the Salinettis, you mentioned the Phasics, Tashos, Vannas, I can go on and on listing names, but there's a lot of real talented guys who won this, and it felt like, sure, anytime you entered one of these tournaments, any one of those guys could end up victorious.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like going in, Alistair and I, we never really focused on the win. We just focused on our game and just tried to play the best we could and just try to post a number and hope that it was good enough to win. That's kind of what happened in our second win. I think we were maybe 5 shots out of the lead after the first day. I think Tasho and his partner, Chalice, were leading. And so we weren't really, they're a solid team. We weren't expecting to catch them with, them being up 5. And we just kept plugging away. And then towards the end, we just kind of had a chance with a few holes to go. And we just kind of grinded it out and finished strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so 1999, you guys repeat. Had you played together in the subsequent state four balls, or had it just been 10 years since you guys had won?
No, we did. We played like the next, I think after we won at Hyannisport, I think the next year was at the Orchards, and we came in second. I think at Stowe a couple of times we either came in like third, second. So we've had some good showings. It just, we realize, you realize how hard it is to win. You can finish second, third, fourth, fifth. We've always had good finishes, in the tournament. But to win again was difficult, and it was kind of nice. I remember Alistair saying it was nice to have that second win just to prove that the first one wasn't a fluke.
Right. And that was an interesting year too, because I know in the run up to that there had been a long stretch of tournaments held at Stowe. So was it nice to play in that tournament with new location at Franklin, just to switch things up a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. Because Stowe is always at the beginning of the year is not, it's the condition wise it's in good shape, but it's but you get kind of stale playing a place, and it was nice to go somewhere fresh. And so that was good for us.
All right. And then in 1999, I know a huge moment, Alistair made a 25-foot putt on 17 for birdie to put you guys in pretty good position. And I know he said at the time, it was the most excited he had ever been about making a putt. So I don't know if you remember that moment specifically.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. The round was just kind of, we were going along with the round, and I think I made like a 45-foot on a par 5, and he was out of the hole. So that was kind of like, oh, that was a bonus. Mm-hmm. And then on the par 3, I think it was 16, I had like 10 feet for par to keep the round going, and I made it. And then he came up and hit a nice shot into 17 and made it. And then we come to 18, and, I was about 15 feet below the hole for birdie, but he was like, I don't know, 30 feet, 25 feet for eagle to the right of the pin. And he rolled it up to like an inch and then just tapped it in. And he said he never felt himself hit the putt. He was kind of like nervous, but he, like I said, he was such a great putter, especially under pressure. He was probably the best I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. And he was a pretty adventurous guy too. I heard in off seasons he'd be cycling and swimming and stuff like that, and adventurous. So how was his game when he got back to, early springtime and started swinging the clubs again?
Well, Alice was one of those that he would be putting on his carpet. He always had some kind of device or something. He was always practicing something. He, being into, he loved to read. So he read just about every golf book. He read the rule book. He knew the rules inside and out. So he was always ready to go. And, he'd be out hitting balls once the ground was, thawed, or, like I said, he lives right on the 18th hole of the Orchard. So he lived right across the street from the driving range. So at any time he can go over, he could chip, he could putt, he could hit balls. So he was always ready, and his game could travel. I mean, he had a pretty steady, it was a good solid game. So.
Yeah. So you played in the U.S. Amateur Qualifier was at the Orchards back in '93, right?
Correct.
And you got to play with Justin Leonard. Tell me about that story and that experience. I mean, he didn't have quite the legacy he had in Boston 6 years later with the Ryder Cup, but still a big name nonetheless.
So I qualified at the Orchards, and it was in Houston, Texas, at the Champions Course. And again, it was my first U.S. Amateur, and I didn't know what to expect. And after playing a practice round, the course was kind of demanding. I just said to myself, I can't play this place; it's too hard. And then my last 11 holes, I actually just kind of changed my my mental state and started playing pretty good. So when I went to the qualifying rounds, I was actually a little bit more confident, and I made match play, and I won my first match. And then at what they do in the U.S. Amateurs, you have a banquet, and at the banquet they take the defending champ, and he goes up and he speaks, and it's kind of neat because he talks about playing in the Masters and winning the U.S. Amateur. So I see this guy, his kid up there, speaking, and then a few days later I'm playing him in match play, and now you get down to the round of 32. There's not many guys, so the matches are going off. So there's only a few of us on the putting green practicing before the match starts. So I kept my distance, figuring, he's U.S. Amateur defending champ. He went to the Masters. So I didn't really say much. We played because it was in Texas, about 2 first tee, and we play the first hole. We get to the second hole. He comes up, walks up to me, puts his arm around me, goes, "Come on, let's have some fun." And we just basically talked all the way around. And just great guy. It was a lot of fun. He beat me. He won. I lost 4-3, but it was just a great experience, to have. And then that year, he lost in the quarters to John Harris. And then in 96, when I made match play again, I played John Harris. And so I got an opportunity to play two U.S. amateur champions. So that was kind of neat.
And then you were also in the Centennial Amateur with Tiger Woods, right?
Yeah, qualified at Newport. Yep. So I made the Centennial, and that was kind of neat, and being local, and so that was fun. So I got a chance to at the Champions. Tiger was invited as a junior amateur champion, and he was the match behind us. So when I was playing Leonard, Tiger was the match right behind me. So he had still some buzz going on then.
Right, and you said you got to snap a quick picture with him too. Do you still have that?
I do. So in '96, and my wife, she caddied for all my tournaments, so she carried my bag and all of these, and so we were practicing together, and just the two of us on the putting green. And she's like, "Hey, you're competing in the tournament against them. Go up and introduce yourself." So I did, and she says, "I'll take a picture." So we did, and so now I have it hanging in the downstairs, and I also have the Justin Leonard. I took a picture with him too because I knew he was talking about turning pro after that summer. So I said, "Hey, just in case he does something," and so I got two pictures hanging.
Well, you certainly came through in that promise. Tiger certainly ended up being one heck of a golfer.
You knew it when
to say the least.
When he was playing a friend of mine from Connecticut in match play after I lost my match. The next day I went out to watch him, and I just said, "This guy, he's not playing the same course that I played. He's playing a totally different course. The way he hit the ball, so it was neat to see."
Great. I do appreciate that trip down memory lane, and I certainly appreciate you taking the time with us, Dean. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you out there sooner rather than later, as we all do here at Mass Golf. So thanks, everybody, for watching. If you enjoyed this clip, check out more. We have several interviews up on our YouTube page, our Mass Golf YouTube page. You can also stay updated on the latest content on massgolf.org. And you can also follow our social media at PlayMassGolf on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.